Yo, it's Go, and welcome to the video. I was sitting in Dalaran the other day wondering, what should I do? The first idea I had was to go to Mount Hyjal and try to farm some of the trash packs for the first boss. Headed out there, talked to Jaina, got the trash to spawn, and they had way too much health for me to reliably get them down to try to get any sort of gold from clearing these waves of trash. So I scrapped this and moved on to the next raid. I headed over to Black Temple thinking maybe I could solo a couple of the trash packs, especially that big room where there's a lot of mobs that I think are non-elite on the way to Mother Shaz, but quickly found out that the gate past the first boss is closed unless you down the first boss, which I obviously cannot solo, so I moved on to the next raid. With the 2 solo gold farms not working, it was time to try for a full raid solo clear of AQ20. The first couple rooms of trash mobs are a piece of cake, and you'll quickly find yourself at the first boss, which is Kurinax. Fight's simple enough, there's constant sand traps to avoid, might even be able to just sit there and resist them. But I just kited the boss around, kept my dots up, and took him out. No real crazy mechanics need to be used for this one. The second boss has 7 waves of trash, and then the final boss comes out by himself. That's General Rajax. Since there's so many waves of add, the only real issue that I had was with my mana. Popping Innervate as soon as I could throughout the fights, and also pulling one of the adds away from the NPCs so the NPCs aren't hitting it, and keeping it rooted allowed me to just stand and regen as much mana as I wanted, and also allow Innervate to come off cooldown again. Anytime I got low mana, root the ad, fill up my mana bar, finish it off, and then start on the next wave. In order to not kill that last mob in my roots, I downranked to a rank 3, but you can go all the way down to, 2 or 1. And the final boss doesn't hit too hard, but he does do an ability that takes you to half HP every so often, but it's fairly easy to heal back up and get him down. The third boss I went to was Moam. Not much to worry about in this fight either, other than downing the boss before its mana bar fills up. But I downed the boss in under a minute, and it only had 8,000 of its 20k plus mana pool by the time I took him down. With 3 bosses left, I went to the final boss, Osiris, next, and ended up dying a couple times. Third time was the charm though. I got some good nature and arcane weaknesses. I didn't let the boss get empowered by not having clicked on one of the runes in a while, letting that fall off. And that was the biggest thing, was trying to keep HOTS up, stay in travel form, do as many of those runes that I could click to try to get nature and arcane, and even when I had those, try to still move to the next one so I didn't get caught with the boss empowered. One of the other ways I died was I didn't fully clear this room, so I recommend doing that. I missed I think 2 of the ads. One I could understand, but I missed 2. And while looking around for the things to click, I aggroed it. And that with the boss, I couldn't keep up with all the damage. But this was definitely the funnest fight in here. It's a long run back, so don't make those same mistakes that I did. After a little bit of celebration, I went down the ramp to Iamus the Hunter. And I wiped my first attempt because I popped my treants, which allowed the boss to know that there was more than one thing on the aggro table, and it sacrificed me on the platform and killed me. So for this boss, do not pop Force of Nature. I got back in there, didn't pop trees this time, waited to pop Starfall until the boss came down because I had Glyph of Focus, and it was a piece of cake. And for this one, I popped my Bark Skin as soon as I got a Lunar after the boss came down. I wouldn't have any pushback on my Starfires, and I could just pump through my Lunar phase. But you could also use it to heal up if you need, which I almost did right at the end. And the last boss I did was Buru, which really tests your patience. For this boss, I would just keep up like Moonfire and Insect Swarm on the eggs, wait for the boss to patrol over top of the egg, and then kill it. When the ad would spawn, I would put my dots up on the ad and try to kill it while I was moving to the next egg. After killing the first set of eggs, there was a little downtime waiting for them to respawn. I had to kill a couple more. It took about 8 eggs, I think, until the boss's brain was exposed and I could finish off Buru. Other than the challenge of soloing this as a Moonkin, there's not too much reason to come back here to AQ20. I was getting about 50 gold per boss from the raw gold they drop and the items that came along with it. But if you're an enchanter, there are a couple patterns from here that you might be interested in, like the 15 agility to gloves that I got off of this last boss that I did. And that was all for AQ20. I have gone and done the same thing in ZG and cleared every boss. Hakar, Gendo, all of them, except for that summonable boss that changes each week. Didn't bother with that one. But everything else, I downed all those bosses. Expect that video soon.